All right, guys, I just got done recording a video with Michael. I want to just come on here and do a quick introduction saying, if you don't know who Michael is, he hosts about 3 or 4 different podcasts. He is extremely knowledgeable with fantasy baseball. And, he does a ton of stuff. He pumps out a ton of content. I'm going to put his Twitter on the screen right now. You can go follow him there. I'm sure you can find all of his podcasts there. You can find pretty much anything he is doing. And on top of that, in the description of this video, there will also be a link to pretty much everything that he is doing at the same time. So I'm not going to dive into those exact podcasts, but you can read about it in the description. And now for this video, of course, if you have not already, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And let's get into this conversation that I just had with Michael. All right, Michael, I know we talked earlier today and you told me, Mason, this may not be the best video idea because these players are so close and you really can't go wrong with either one. And while I agree with that, this is going to be a decision point that pretty much everybody is facing if they're drafting in the middle of the first round in their fantasy baseball leagues. And that is, who are you going with your first pitcher overall? Really, there's no conversation outside of Gerrit Cole and Jacob DeGrom. So let's break down both of these pitchers. Don't tell me who you want right away. Just kind of give me a little bit of background and what you were looking for when you're taking a pitcher with your first pick overall, because that's where you're going to have to get both of these guys. Cole has an ADP of 6.5. DeGrom has an ADP of 6.6. So they're going literally neck and neck. You have a 50-50 shot of seeing one go ahead of the other in whatever fantasy league you are in. So yeah, what are you looking for whenever you're trying to draft a pitcher in the first round, if that's the route you're going to go?
Well, the first thing we have to say here, Mason, is that this is not a typical year. This is a freak year. We're coming off an unknown season, a season we have never experienced before. I don't care what anybody tells you. They think they know what's going to happen this year with innings pitched. They're lying. Or they're just trying to prove a point, but they don't know what's going to happen. And I am never going to sit here and lie to you guys. I love both of these pitchers. To me, it's real tight. But, Gerrit Cole is a guy who signed with the Yankees last year. And in that short sample size season, which I always make fun of on my podcast, we have a sounder and alarm anytime anybody brings up the short sample point, which happens way too much because it's become a cliche now. But Cole was okay. He gave up a lot of home runs last year. He plays in a stadium which gives up a lot of home runs, Yankee Stadium. It's always going to be that way. So that was a warning sign to take note of. But the K percentage and the K per 9 was still outstanding. His spin rates on all his pitches, his breaking stuff is nasty. So you don't have to worry about that. Jacob DeGrom people think Jacob DeGrom's a lot older. They really think, Cole's younger. He's the young stuff. But really, they're not that far apart in age anymore. They're pretty close. So Jacob DeGrom just has more of an injury history. Little things here, little things there, the back. There was the elbow, and people were freaked out that he might have to have Tommy John a couple years ago, but it never went that way. In the end, these are 2 elite pitchers, and you cannot go wrong with either one because that's why the market is dictating where they're going. And just to throw this in here, because you said they're clearly the 2 or most likely the top 2 pitchers, Shane Bieber is also going neck and neck with them in most of the drafts I've done. I've done about 8 or 9 drafts already. And Bieber sometimes has gone before DeGrom in some drafts. And I'll just say that.
Okay, well, thank you for informing people on that because I had no idea. I was seeing DeGrom and Cole back to back.
Well, he's just in hardcore, like big money leagues and analyst leagues. And I'm not saying I'm the best of the best, but I've been with some pretty heavy hitters in drafts recently, people who they dedicate their lives to making a bankroll in the off season so that they can pay for their bills or just live their lives otherwise. So I would trust people who put more money in a league than people who don't.
No, definitely. I completely agree. I know that's kind of a controversial thing. I know that's a hot topic, and a lot of people want to say, hey, I would put up that much money if I had that much money. But, it's just like poker. When you're trying to study poker, you're not going to go out there and study the micro stakes. No, you want to be watching Doug Polk and Daniel Negreanu go at it. So I think that's a smart thing to do, to look at those high money drafts.
No doubt about it.
But I will say, so obviously, Michael, you know way more than I do with fantasy baseball. That's the elephant in the room here. But I was kind of surprised because I'm going to be honest. I agree that 2020, I don't think we should be really basing that much off of it at all. So I kind of threw it out of what I was looking at and just pulling up 2019 for Cole and DeGrom. And Cole right now looks like an amazing value, in my opinion. I know we've talked before about not wanting to draft pitchers in the first round because of that high injury rate. But
Yeah.
you go to 2019, and Cole per inning was averaging over a strikeout and a half. And I mean, that number doesn't seem believable when it's over a sample size that has 212 innings pitched. His whip was under 0.9. His ERA was down at 2.5. So you combine that with the fact that, like you said, I know the age is not that big of a difference, but it is 2 years. I mean, Gerrit Cole is 30 years old and DeGrom is sitting at 32. Then you throw on the DeGrom injury history, you throw on the fact that if you look at 2019, I mean, DeGrom's not really close to Cole in strikeouts per inning. I mean, ERA, whip, innings pitched, they're all neck and neck. But is it because of the park factor? Is it because of the home runs that Gerrit Cole was giving up last season and why we were seeing this ADP literally be just the difference is non-existent between the two?
Yeah, well, last year is having an impact. Otherwise, off 2019, Cole would be the number one, even though DeGrom's been incredible. And in fact, DeGrom has pitched less innings in his career than Cole has. 1,200 to 1,100. Cole has more innings pitched in his career, which is curious. But I think 2020 needs to be kind of pushed aside. There's some things you could take away from it because it was Cole's first year at Yankee Stadium, and it's a tough ballpark. And Citi Field is a place where the offense can be pretty intense as well. There's a lot of opportunity there for big-time hitting. I just like Cole right now because he's focused. And even though 2019 was a Hall of Fame type year, you're never going to see a 2019 year from Cole like you did. It was stupid. It was so ridiculous. I mean, it was his free agent year. He went all in with the Astros. They tried to win one last World Series with him before he skipped out for free agency. Didn't quite work out, but he gave them everything. And that was a ridiculously good year in 2019. But DeGrom's done years like that, maybe not with the elite Ks, but in terms of per inning basis, DeGrom has been that guy for a few years before that. That's why he's a multi-time Cy Young winner. Cy Youngs aren't just thrown out. It's not like some other awards where it's kind of dictated. Like in NBA, it always seems like the MVP is kind of dictated after the first couple of weeks start, and it just stays that way. Cy Youngs are earned. And the more analytical stats that back up your efforts, the better off you probably are, because we've seen a change in the game over the last 8 to 10 years.
Well, okay, Michael, I'm sorry. We're going to have to pin something down. So you're going with Gerrit Cole over Jacob DeGrom, just to have it on the record.
Yep, that's where I'm going, my friend. I just like Gerrit Cole because I like I just think it's I think it's a silly argument. I really do. I don't think you're still taking a first-round pitcher. Injury-wise, I think Cole is more durable. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And DeGrom's a couple years older and has shown wear and tear here and there and everywhere. Legs, back, elbow, whatever. Cole is a durable, reliable pitcher because he has great mechanics. It's just so fluid and natural how he pitches. Plus, it's going to be a full season, and he's dedicated to it. So I'm taking Cole over DeGrom in any league, and that would pretty much be in any type of format, regardless of it's roto or points, head-to-head. I just think Cole's slightly better. But if you take DeGrom, or even, I don't think you're missing much between the two of them. But if you're asking me, I say Cole.
All right, well, I'm going to echo you. I'm definitely going with Cole over DeGrom, and I really don't see it too much as a decision point for myself. But like I said, you were the one who knows what we are talking about here. You were the one who has a full understanding of this. I'm like a little lizard brain over here trying to go 1 + 1 = 2. So Michael says Cole. That matters. I kind of echo it a little bit, and that's all y'all need to know. And yeah, I think that can end the video here, and perfect.
Oh, wait. I got to say one more thing. I got to say one thing.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Let's add this in there. Remember that DeGrom's in the NL, and there's no DH this year. So he's going to be facing pitchers. I want to make sure we get that on the record as something to consider when you compare these two guys. Cole is also in the AL East, which is a tough division, but the NL East, in my opinion, is just as difficult. The NL East is loaded with offensive talent. even in the Marlins, but the Braves, Philadelphia, the Mets, these are elite offenses. So if you want to make the argument that, well, Cole's in the AL and DeGrom can face pitchers as the ninth hitter, go take a look at some of the data. Really, really dive into it. You might be surprised to find out that there really is not a huge advantage for pitchers in the NL versus pitchers that have to face DHs in the AL. Just take a look at that.